Hey guys, welcome to a segment that we like to call Short But Gold, where we do videos of stories that we find very entertaining but are a bit shorter. I hope you enjoy. Am I the A for not moving out of my apartment so my brother can have it? I, F23, have an older brother, M32. I moved out of my parents' house earlier than him and found a small place for myself that is really close to my job. The place is not the biggest. It's a one-bedroom apartment, but it's big enough for one person and the rent is very cheap, so I'm extremely happy with it. I put a lot of work into it and made sure it's my little happy place. Recently, my brother started staying over now and then. I don't have a problem with that. He works the night shift and my place is closer to his job than my parents' house. The problem began when he started bringing more and more of his stuff to my house. He brought his PS4, started gaming in my living room, and is overall just being a terribly inconsiderate guest and treats me like our mom. I brought this up with my parents and my dad suggested that I should let my brother live there and get myself a new apartment. He said I should look for something bigger because my brother makes less money and he could afford my place and I could find something better. But I don't want a bigger apartment. I have no plans to have a family or a partner where I would need anything more than a one bedroom. And I put so much work into personalizing my apartment that this feels unfair. My parents said I'd be a jerk for both kicking my brother out now for staying over and not giving him the place. Is that true? Edit. My brother does not pay rent to me. He used to stay here for only a couple of days, but it's been turning into weeks. Edit number 2. I did contact my landlord as of today. She hasn't responded yet, but she's nice, so I hope she'll understand my situation. Also, additional info. I didn't know my parents or dad would react like this. I thought he'd help me talk to him. We don't have a bad relationship. I'm trying to figure out why he thinks my brother should have my apartment too. But my dad hasn't been responsive since that conversation. I don't think you're the A here at all. It is not your responsibility to give up your apartment so your brother can live there. If your parents are so concerned about your brother finding an affordable apartment, then maybe they can help him look into finding another place with similar rent. Am I the A for not paying any child support? My ex-girlfriend, Claire, 35F, got pregnant while we were dating. Although she told me she just wanted to be friends, I was ready to be a father. However, she met someone else, Becca, who didn't want me around, so they asked me to cancel my paternal rights. At the time, I was torn because I wanted to be there for my child, but I also felt that if they didn't want me around, it was best to waive my rights. After fighting for a while, I eventually gave up because it was clear that they didn't want me there. Fast forward 13 years later, Claire and Becca are going through some stuff and they want me to pay child support. However, the court had already ruled that since I had waived my paternal rights, I am not legally obliged to pay child support. Despite this, Claire is calling me a jerk and a deadbeat, and she's even calling my family and getting them involved. While I understand her frustration, I don't think it's appropriate for her to be involving my family in this matter. It sounds to me like the ship has sailed on you paying child support 13 years ago. Claire made the decision back then that she did not want you to be involved in your baby's life, and as a result, you are not required to pay child support. I do not think you are in the wrong here. Let me know what you guys think below. Customer said I must not know my boss very well. I work for my dad. Pretty great story from work this morning where I got to one-up this guy. So I'll start by saying I work for my dad at his store. I work the front counter and interact with most people and customers. Also, I look a lot more like my mom. My dad runs a separate business as well, but anybody who needs to talk to him for either business can usually find him in the office here. So this guy shows up this morning looking pretty ruffled and asked if my dad was here. I replied, "You just missed him. He's out for the morning doing a couple things." He was very displeased by this information and was acting very loud and unprofessional. He started looking around the store and eventually came back to the front counter with a piece of equipment that he wanted to trade for some work that he had apparently done for him before. Keep in mind, I know most of my dad's workers and have never seen this guy before. I told him that I don't do any negotiations while he's not here and I can't just let him leave the store with something for free. I told him that normally he probably wouldn't want to take that route, but was welcome to discuss it with him once he's back. He looked at me and replied, "You're making a big mistake here, and you must not know the boss very well, because he would do this for me, and blah, blah, blah." I just looked at him and replied, "I actually do know him quite well, seeing as he is my father." I told him that he could either leave or wait for my dad to get back. He kind of looked up at me and was pretty speechless. I could tell he felt stupid and regretted his comment. He ended up waiting around in his truck for my dad to show up, and guess what? He wasn't going to do a trade. It's almost like I know my boss well. Apparently the guy just worked like 2 days for him and then quit. Plus the thing he wanted was way more expensive than what he was owed. Side note, the pay wasn't made yet because we are bi-weekly. I swear some of the people around here are nuts. But a petty, "don't you know who I am?" moment made my day. Wow, that story is hilarious. You definitely caught that guy off guard. I'm glad that you stood your ground and didn't let him walk all over you. I'd imagine he must have been really embarrassed when your dad said no as well. My sister didn't get into a single one of her dream schools and I'm living for it. I don't like my youngest sister. I'll admit that. She's always been a daddy's girl and never faced a single consequence in her life. They've always been softer on my younger sister than any of my other siblings. She's always been given privileges that were never given to any of the other siblings. It doesn't help that she's a selfish brat who has made it her mission to make all of her siblings' lives as hard as possible growing up. At some point, she realized she can just lie and get away with it, or really do anything and not face any consequences. This ranged from petty lying to get all of us in trouble to actual crime. She used to steal any cash she could find from all of us. and my parents defended her and brushed it off even after my oldest sister caught her on camera doing it. She graduates from high school this year. My parents have been awfully quiet about her academics for the last 2 years. Despite all of their other children having high marks academically, all now having college degrees, they could never stop gushing about her and how smart she was. Until 2 years ago when she nearly failed high school by ditching for an entire semester. Her GPA is now abysmal. She's barely graduating from what I've heard. Yet, my parents and my younger sister still thought she could get into a good school. Her dream school was Yale, with Harvard as a second pick. I'm not joking. Despite her graduation quickly approaching, I had heard nothing about her college plans, and it turns out that my parents and she had kept it secret because she got accepted into 0 of the school she had wanted. They applied to 12, and she only got accepted into 1. The school she got accepted into accepts literally anyone with a pulse that can pay. What makes this more cathartic to me and makes me much more pettier is when I and my older brother went to college, my father refused to pay any money he had saved for our college on us, claiming that because we got scholarships, we didn't need it and he would save it for our younger sister. I know for a fact that she's distraught right now. The point is debatable anyway because she would fail or drop out of school anyway. But for the first time in her life, she's actually facing consequences and I'm living for it right now. It's unfortunate that your sister had to act this way towards you and your siblings while you were growing up to put this strain on your relationship. But with the kind of treatment that you explained, I can see why you'd feel this way. Let me know what you guys think below. Am I the A for refusing to tell my husband the gender of our baby after he skipped going to the doctor's appointment with me? My husband and I are expecting. This is our first baby and we're excited. The thing is that he barely attends any doctor's appointments with me and his excuses aren't even valid. He's willing to miss the appointments over soccer or a drink or a board game with friends. His response is always, "I'm not the one carrying the baby. Why do I have to go see the doctor with you?" Last week was my final straw. He was supposed to come with me for the baby's gender reveal appointment, but he chose to not come last minute because his friend invited him to fish and chips. I was pretty livid, but didn't make a fuss about it. My mom went with me instead. He texted asking me to tell him the results, boy or girl, but I refused to tell him. He kept spam calling me, but I hung up every time. He came home fuming and demanding that I tell him the results, but I refused and bluntly told him since he refused to attend the appointment, then he gets no results till after the baby's born, and I said I was willing to die on this hill. He went off calling me spiteful and immature for doing this and punishing him. He said he's the father and has the right to know. He then called me dramatic since I wasn't alone, my mom was with me. I said he gets no results, period. He's been fuming about it and told his family, and they're now pressuring me to stop playing mind games with him and tell him, but I declined. Am I the A? Update. I just wanted to mention that my husband just attempted to contact my doctor to get the results. It didn't go well, and we had another argument over it. He couldn't get it since his mom was the one who made the call. I'm sorry, but this is unacceptable in my opinion. If he feels that he is so entitled to knowing the gender because he's the father, then he should be attending the appointments with you. Even though he is not carrying the baby, he should be with you at these appointments for support, unless he has a seriously valid excuse. Let me know what you guys think below. Am I the A for getting upset and telling my dad his girlfriend didn't buy me a Starbucks drink? I, 17F, have been living with my dad, 45M, and his girlfriend of 2 years, 33F, and her daughter, 13F, for a couple of months now while my mom, 40F, is visiting my sick grandfather in Sweden. I've only ever stayed at my dad's on weekends, so it's been hard getting used to living with his girlfriend and her kid full time. The kid is super whiny and pretty spoiled because she dotes on her, so I usually just stay in my room. Today, my dad's girlfriend was taking her daughter on a special outing because she passed a math test, and my dad suggested I go with them for a girls' day out. I wanted to say no, but I knew that he wanted me to get to know his girlfriend and her daughter better, so I agreed. He gave her $300 to spend during the outing. We spent the day going in and out of stores her daughter liked in the mall complex. She ended up buying a ton of clothes, makeup, and other stuff I don't remember. On our way back home, she stopped at the Starbucks because her daughter wanted a drink and some cake pops. She ordered a drink for her and her daughter and 2 cake pops. I asked if I could get something, and she said she ran out of money and she'd get me something next time. When they got their order, I asked if I could have one of the cake pops, and the girlfriend said that it was her daughter's treat for her hard work, and it would be wrong for me to take one since I didn't do anything that deserved being rewarded. I'm not gonna lie, I was pretty upset. When we got home, my dad saw their drinks and asked where mine was. I told him that I wasn't allowed to get one because I don't deserve it. His girlfriend got upset and said I was twisting her words, and the daughter just said I was being greedy and was jealous of her. I know I'm not entitled to a drink or a cake pop, but I also don't think it's wrong to be a little annoyed. Am I the A? I think it's absolutely terrible that your stepmom wouldn't buy you a drink when your dad literally gave her $300 to treat you guys for the day. I bet even if you were the one who passed the math test that she still would have spoiled her daughter with at least half of the money that your dad gave her, and she would never tell her that she didn't deserve a treat from Starbucks. I hope that your dad expressed his disappointment in your stepmom, and I hope she learned her lesson and that this doesn't happen again. Let me know what you guys think down below. Am I the A for not letting my best friend have her wedding on my property after being uninvited? One of my 29M best friends, Carla, not her real name, 31F, is getting married soon. It's only meant to be a small backyard type of wedding, but they've been planning it for a few months now, and originally it was supposed to be on my property. They wanted it because it's private, has lots of open space for the reception, a nice view, and the house could be used for them to get ready and stuff. Of course I said yes. She and her fiancé Rick were very happy. The thing is that Carla and I do have a history. We went out on and off in college but decided to stay friends. Then I met my wife, we got married, Carla met Rick, and now here they are. Now, my wife knows I went out with Carla back in college, and she didn't care. Carla still went to our wedding and everything. I never knew if Rick was told or not. It's not my relationship, therefore not my business to say anything, so I never did. Rick found out recently and not in the best way. Not sure how, but from what I heard from friends is that one mutual friend told him, no idea why, that we used to date. Not only that, but apparently Carla said a couple of years ago that she was still in love with me when she was already dating Rick. I don't have actual confirmation if that's exactly what he was told. All Carla's told me is that Rick was told about our past and he's angry at her for never saying anything. It became quite a drama and I didn't hear anything from her from over a month now. She told me they're going to couples counseling and that the wedding is still on, but Rick requested that I do not attend. It sucks, but I totally get why he wouldn't be comfortable. Then I asked the obvious question, where are they going to hold the wedding then? To my surprise, she said they still wanted to do it at our place. Rick said so too, and in my mind, I'm going, he doesn't want the guy who dated his fiancée years ago at the wedding, but he still wants it at his house? My wife and I are expected to just not be at our home that weekend, and I told Carla no. They're going to have to find some place else since we're not going to simply leave our home to them for the weekend. Not only for safety reasons, but it just doesn't make sense. Rick doesn't want me around because he's not comfortable, but is comfortable enough to have their wedding at my house? They really want their wedding here though, and because of that, I've been bugged by not only her, but also Rick and some friends who think I'm being a petty jerk for not letting them have the wedding here anymore. Honestly, I don't think that I am. It just doesn't make sense at all to have to leave our own place for a wedding we're no longer welcome to, and leaving our home totally vulnerable. Still, I'm being accused of sabotaging their wedding, and Rick believes it's the least I can do after everything. Am I the A? I don't think that you're in the wrong here at all. It's ridiculous to expect someone to allow you to host a wedding at their home and think that they would be okay with you not attending and expected to vacate the premises. I totally understand the concern of leaving your house vulnerable during a wedding without even being there if something goes wrong. I hope they were able to situate another venue for their wedding and stop trying to make you feel guilty. Am I the A for ruining Thanksgiving? I, 30F, met my boyfriend, 30M, 3 years ago. Before me, he was together with his high school sweetheart. They fell out of love and broke up. A year later, we started dating. His mom, however, was still heartbroken about it. I was very understanding and thought she needed time to get to know me. The ex basically grew up with them and they saw her as part of the family. For the first year of my relationship, his mom would call me his ex's name, until my boyfriend got angry once and told her to be nice. She laughed it off and said that it was just a habit. After that, she started calling me the wrong name, Janet instead of Jenny, fictional names just for the story. I corrected her a couple of times, but she seemed to like hurting me, so I ignored it later. My boyfriend has 2 sisters, and a couple of weeks before Thanksgiving, we were invited to a barbecue at the older sister's house. I was in the kitchen with my boyfriend's mom, the sisters, and one of their husbands. The older sister then talked about how my boyfriend praised my cooking to her husband, and the mom was listening. She then said out loud, "Sure, why don't we let Janet make the turkey this year?" The sisters giggled and looked at each other, and I said, "That's a great idea." I didn't tell my boyfriend what happened. On Thanksgiving, we went to his mom's house with the usual wine and dessert. She was shocked. Everybody was shocked. I said, "What? I thought Janet is bringing the turkey." There was yelling, crying, and then we got kicked out. My boyfriend is so angry with me and he hasn't talked to me since. I think it's over, to be honest. But I still don't think I did anything wrong. Did I? I'm sorry, but this story is absolutely hilarious. It took me a minute to realize that the joke that the OP was making by not bringing the turkey, but it's because Janet is not her real name. And Janet was supposed to be bringing the turkey. I don't think I would ever have the nerve to pull this off, but I'm sure your boyfriend's mom learned her lesson not to call you by the wrong name anymore. Hopefully you guys didn't end up breaking up as a result. Thanks for watching today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed this new segment of Short But Gold. Let me know what you guys think of the stories in the comments below, and don't forget to like and subscribe.